Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Alderon and I are here today to talk to you about a book that we're really excited to share with you. It's one that we read a few months ago, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since then, and I think now is a really perfect time to talk about it. We're just finishing up May, which May was AAPI month, right? Asian American Pacific Islander month, and this is a book that really can be read any time of the year and should be read any time of the year, but particularly in May, this is a really great time to talk about it. So the book actually that I'm talking about today is The Best We Could Do. And this is by Thi Bui, The Best We Could Do. Now this is actually a graphic novel, and I know we really don't talk a lot about graphic novels with the adult videos. I talk a lot about graphic novels in the younger people's videos, the kids and the teens, but not as much with graphic novels or with the adults, because I know they're not everybody's cup of tea. But this is a book that I think is very accessible to everybody, even if you're not a fan of graphic novels. It really doesn't read like one. And I think it's an important book. We actually read it for one of the library's book clubs, Top Shelf Reads, in January, and everybody absolutely loved it. So I've still been thinking about it. I did read it for that club, and I've been thinking about it ever since then. And I think it's a really important book. So this is actually a graphic memoir. So it's not just a graphic novel, it's actually a memoir, an illustrated memoir by this author. And it tells about her family and how they fled South Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Basically all the trials and the terrors of immigration and fleeing the country, starting over in a brand new place. But it's also the story of motherhood, because the story actually begins as Thi is giving birth to her son and talking about how it's a really complex feeling when you go from being somebody's child, talking about how, you know, she was the daughter to her mother and father, and now becoming a mother herself. And when do those roles, they kind of seep together, right? Like they're not just one and then you're not that anymore and you're suddenly something else. Like you're still somebody's child, even if you have a child yourself. So she talks about a lot of the really intricate and complex feelings that come with motherhood, but also so much of most of what this graphic novel is about the Vietnam War, and told from a point of view from one family's perspective. Now, this could probably just be my education when I was growing up, but I feel like when I was in high school or, you know, even in college, I never really learned much about the Vietnam War. I learned about all the protests, I learned about Nixon, I learned about, you know, the Viet Cong and stuff like that, but I never really learned a lot of the details about that war and what it was like for the people living there when it was going on. And this graphic novel is really just tantamount to showing that and talking about what her parents had to do to get her and her siblings, you know, into a new country and the things that they had to go through, but also still, you know, talking about how, you know, her father is a very difficult man, and he was a very harsh man. I don't really want to go as far as to say that he was abusive, because he was very harsh and he was cruel at times, but as she goes on to explain, so much of who he is and why he is the way he is, it was because he was growing up where he did in South Vietnam and everything he had to go through, the raids and the starvation and things like that, and the things that he saw and the things that he witnessed and how that made him who he is, and the generational trauma that carries on, right? That carries on through their kids now. So what an incredible story, right? I mean, and just because it's an illustrated, you know, it's graphic novel, even if you're a person who doesn't necessarily like graphic novels, if you're a person who likes history, if you're interested in history, if you like reading memoirs, if you like hearing about family stories, and particularly ones that take place, you know, from Vietnam and things like that, this is just such an amazing story. And the illustrations are great. So they're like just different. They're beautiful, but they're also simple. And it's all within just different, like the same palette, different shades of the same colors over and over again. which tells the story. So there's a lot of text. This is not a graphic novel that you're going to just blow right through. There's a lot of text. There's a lot of history that you're going to be learning about. That's absolutely amazing. And just some of the stuff that the artist does when they're drawing this is just amazing. Like, so for example, this is her mother and father, and then this is their children. And you'll notice that there's two in the back that are shaded in black versus the ones that are in the front, and those are the children that have died. And it's just like a subtle way of drawing your attention to that. It's absolutely amazing. So like I said, if this is not really something you would normally read, maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit and give this a try. If you're going to read any graphic novel, it really should be something like this that has such a great historical impact. This has won multiple awards. It's been nominated for a lot of things, and it's just absolutely incredible. It's a wonderful story. It's going to stay with you for a while, and you'll definitely learn something. Even if you're a lot more well-versed than I was about the Vietnam War, hearing about it from the perspective of somebody who lived through it is really, really fascinating. So that is the best we could do. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that this sounds really interesting and fascinating to you. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library. And also please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.